And again, say hello to everybody. We are now online, so to speak. Good to see you again and to hear some of you. We have decided for this week to touch upon a sort of psychological exercise that may help us to probe the, oops, let me change the speaker view and pin video, just a moment. It should be fixed. Let's see, how do I do that? Here we go. So let me rewind the tape and say that again. We are sharing with you and inviting you to try today an exercise with the goal to probe some areas of our own subconscious, or in other terms, your personality. We have seen in the past few lectures that there is a vast underground network of connections which may be triggered by events and by impressions that impinge onto us from various directions. They may come from the outside, they may come from the body itself, and they may come from one another by means of association ties. Now, we have also spent some effort to understand how to observe these mechanisms in place. When I say mechanisms, I mean associations inside, and how the egos or components of this vast network of recordings that we have, how they come to the fore, get onto the stage, and start playing themselves using our resources. So our mind, our voice, our feelings, and our body. What we would like to do today is not wait for these things to come by and hoping to be present to see them. We want somehow to drag them to the fore and see how they express themselves, so we can study and know a little more about them. Not all of them are easy to grab by, let's say, the tail or the ear and bring to the fore. It's not always obvious how to bring one ego or one piece of personality to the fore, but some of these parts of our psyche can actually be summoned relatively easily. So that's what we would like to do. How do we make this happen? Well, the principle is we inject something intentionally in the stage of our psychology inside. So we imagine a situation that we have chosen, that we want to explore. And this is the first and last act of will we make. Because from then on, say I have taken a situation, for example, I am walking in the garden of my house. I place it inside, let's say, in my imagination, and then I gently let go of it. So I let it evolve the way it wants. I'm not pushing it in any direction. So I've just given it a prompt. I am walking in the garden of my house. Then I let go. Why? Because I want to explore what my psychology will do starting from that point. And I don't want to force it in a direction. So different things may happen as I have started this situation. For example, it may evolve in a certain direction. So my original picture that I will enrich with as many senses as I can, so with sound, smell, noises, etc. So this still picture may try and evolve in a certain direction. For example, it brings me to see that I was walk around the house, go around and see in the back of the house, notice something, etc. So it may evolve like a short movie. And I will certainly try and make a note of that, because although it may not be too clear at the beginning, it will bring me very valuable information about myself. So it's important that I make a note. It will not necessarily be a full-featured movie, like 1 hour of engaging story with characters, etc. It may just be, 4 seconds, yet the value it has is important. So it's something you really want to notice. So this is the first possible development. So little movie starting from your still picture. Another possible development, of course, is nothing happens. The image stays there or blurs, or you cannot even form an image because you are more of a kinesthetic type of person. So you don't really easily form images in your mind. You rather have other senses. For example, you're more of a body movement person. So for you, it would rather take the aspect of some position, some movement, or it may just be something that works with sound. So there are different ways in which it can come alive. Each of them holds a value. So it may just be that instead of seeing a movie of yourself, you will hear something happening. You may also find that at some point it all fades, or you get distracted. So you will, of course, gain a lot more in this experience if at the beginning you become present and feel yourself. What that means, I hope, is now very familiar for you. But of course, we are talking about remembering yourself. So we will then be a little more precise when we actually do the exercise. But the idea is gain your presence and keep it with a very light touch. So you're not trying to own everything and make everything go the way you want. Rather, you are gently observing from your observation point, because you are an explorer in an uncharted territory. Yes, because many of the things that happen inside of us are not very well known to us. If they were, we could probably lead a much simpler life. But the term unconscious by itself suggests that there are several things that we had better explore because they're not too obvious or too visible for us. So this exercise complements what you would normally do during your day. Each time you remember to be present, and each time you get the opportunity and use it to look at your thoughts, to observe your feelings, to notice your body posture and movement, all of these possible inputs that your observer needs to know. And all of these areas in which you want to bring the light of your presence. So as an alternative to that, in moments when you want to bring your exploration to a specific point, you may use this exercise instead and see what it tells you. So based on your nature and your psychology, it may give you a sort of input or another, maybe more, maybe less. Yet it is worth trying, because possibly this is something that you have never tried. Before we actually go to a bit of practicalities, I'd like to invite any questions that you may have. So perhaps they will give me the opportunity to make things clearer. I see no hands up, also because all the cameras are currently dark. So speak up if you would like to ask something or write a question. Oh, I see something here on the chat. So Anne wrote, when I do shamanic journaling, the journeys go really fast. Is there a way to slow it down? Dice, quando faccio questi viaggi sciamanici vanno velocissimi, se c'è un modo di rallentarli. I'd say that the throttle you have, let's see, the only command you have is your presence. So if you see that things move beyond the speed at which you feel comfortable, you may want to exercise a little control. So probably in the past, when doing shamanic journaling, you didn't have the idea or the opportunity to remember yourself and exercise a degree of control. Now you do. So now you may choose to have a light grip onto what you're doing and exercise your will in basically pulling the brake a little and putting your will at work in this condition where it normally was an experience that would basically run itself. So you would just start it and then whatever was to happen would happen. Now you do have an opportunity for control. So I would suggest that you try and use your presence to exercise a degree of control on what's happening. There isn't a very precise explanation I can give you on how to slow things down inside your mind, but I suppose you may certainly get an idea of what that means. And yes, we will do a bit of a presence exercise before we start as an introduction. Yes, so that was the idea, but it's good that you thought of the same. Any more questions? All right. So what I'll do now is I'll propose the first situation. Then we will do a bit of centering. We will bring ourselves back to the observer, remember ourselves. And then I will suggest what the situation is. If you have pen and paper, keep them close at hand. You may see something which is important, but may also flee very quickly if then you start thinking about something else. So this is an exploration which may bring you important insight. Then we will do some presence. We will remember ourselves. Then I will suggest the first situation. Then you enter that situation. You may want to close your eyes at that point because you will reduce the amount of noise that may come into the situation. And then let it evolve. Don't try to control it. Just try to observe it. If it becomes at all uncomfortable, well, just reopen your eyes. You'll be back on your chair, so there's nothing to be worried about. It may take any turn, really depends on what's inside of you. So there is no a predetermined result to be expected. And in fact, it's good to not have expectations. Just be open to whatever may come. It will be 100% 0-kilometer organic produce from your own psychology. So will be good quality, and you will want to look at that carefully. Good. Our relaxation then may begin. You may want to be sure you are comfortable, and you may want to close your eyes. Feel your body at first. Make sure you feel your presence. You have an observer at the center of your head. Feel it. That is what you really are in this dimension. So feel yourself and watch your body. You may look for any tensions and gently release them. You may want to observe your breathing, and if it's shallow, then you may want to make it slower. Now observe your feelings at the center of your chest. Just observe, no judgment. You are free to not make any judgment. Take it this way. While you observe your feelings, you are still clearly perceiving the observer that is looking from the center of your head in the pineal gland. Now direct your inner light to your head. See if there's any thought going around. And never let go of the feeling of your observer looking at your thoughts. So here you are, feeling your body, your feelings, seeing your thoughts from a solid point of view of the observer. And let's now introduce our starting point. You are flying your little airplane. You're flying solo. Your plane works very well. You feel the breeze of the wind. It's a wonderful day. So try and visualize if you can. Try to feel what it could be. Maybe some wind, maybe a little vibration from the engine. And now gently let this situation go on by itself. See what it turns into. Be present. Okay, so now return to your presence, center yourself. Remember, you are the observer. If you feel the need to write down something, do it now. Otherwise, we will continue in a few seconds. Breathe calmly, feel yourself, and let's look at a second situation. You are in your new house. It's a country house. You are exploring your house and you see a door that leads to the cellar. You open the door and walk down the steps to the cellar. Now, gently let the situation go on by itself. Again, if nothing happens, don't worry. Let us now walk back up to the ground floor and return to our presence. Let's look at our breath, dissolve any tension in our body. We are back home. Let us now prepare for the third and final exploration. Now this is less visual and it's more of a conceptual situation. And this is about the following concept. I am ready to change my life. So this time, instead of a picture, we insert a concept. And the concept is, I am ready to change my life. I want to make a positive change. This will bring associations, this will bring ideas. It's a very powerful statement. Try to feel it in its completeness. You are venturing into some possibilities. So now, express that inside yourself very clearly. I am ready to change my life. And let it go. Let it turn into whatever needs to happen. Gently observing. And again, we shall now return to our center. Have a deep breath. Open our eyes. Go and find the observer. That's where you are. And write down all that you have noticed. If you feel that something is relevant, even if it's a minor detail, nothing is minor in this, really. Just a smell, just a color, just a tension in one leg. Write down all that you have observed. That's a message for you. Okay. So keep writing if you need to make more notes. At the same time, if you would like, we may start sharing. So I may stop the recording now. The way things looked during the experience, that is also pretty meaningful, because you may meet a gorilla, but that by itself is not the final point of your understanding, because it may be a menacing one, maybe a friendly one, may remind me of somebody, maybe a cartoon one, maybe like a funny character. I have now turned the recording back on because we have finished the sharing. So we're adding some endnotes which may be useful for viewers. But if there's something more to be shared, we will remove that. So yeah, thank you. So what I was saying is the particular look and feel of what you have noticed that may guide you and make a good suggestion for how to interpret that, because even the most menacing of characters may turn into a completely different experience if it's for example a cartoonish version, or if it's friendly, or if it talks to us and tells us a joke. So it's not so obvious that, for example, a dragon is an immediate danger, may become a friend, who knows why? Well, you may, or if not, you may want to find out. So every detail may bring you something that you want to consider. I see that Sam has left, so goodbye, Sam. Now I will stop the recording again.